We have some contract work to do and some fields to purchase. Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Seasons in the Valley. We're going to start off making a quick stop here at our pig location because we do own a grass field over here, field 93. We're just going to quickly run the tedder over that just to get it fertilised up to the next level. And then we'll move up to the top of the map and we'll start work on those fields up there. So let's just unfold our tedder. I attached the weight this time so we don't have the same problems that we did last time with balance. A little bit close, we're leaning on the gate there. There we go. So I'm just going to very quickly run around the edge of this field. Make sure that we get it all completely fertilized. There we go. As I say, once we've done this, we'll head up to the top of the map. We'll do some contract work on fields 6 and field 24. And then we'll buy those fields and then we'll be ready to start chopping down those trees and getting everything combined and joined together. A little dead patch of grass there. I don't think we'll bother with that. Yeah, in terms of just ploughing and planting a little strip of grass, it's just not worth the amount of hassle. But again, you can see, because we're trying to get right up against that fence, you can see that we're catching the implement. It's making it a little bit tricky. Oh, and now we've got this "you don't own this field" issue popping up again. Alright, let's see if we can fix it the same way we did last time by going in on the other side. Yes, we can, but it could make getting this corner a little bit tricky. Very tricky indeed. That might be the best we can do. There we go. That's close enough. So, if I can get away from this fence, caught up on the damn thing, and I have to fold just to move. There we go, and unfold again. I'll have to make sure we come back along that edge of the field. It shouldn't take us very long, just a couple of minutes. So spring is very much all about getting your prep work done. Now, we've finished the prep work that we need to do at the main farm now. All of our fields have been ploughed and seeded. Just got to wait for stuff to start growing and then we can start fertilizing. There's not much else we need to do up there. Obviously we've already removed all the trees that were between our two fields so that we could combine them together. We're going to have to do the same again between fields 2 and 6. We've got quite a few trees up there that need to be removed. And this time, instead of wood chipping those, we'll end up chipping some bits, but what we're also going to do is we're going to try and save some of that as wood. And we're going to go and sell the lumber down at the sawmill for something a little bit different and a bit more immediate cash, because I get the feeling we might need a little bit of extra cash. I don't know if we've got enough here to be able to buy both of those fields. That's partly because we've spent money on seed and fertilizer, and also we spent $34,000 on this weeder. So we need to kind of recoup some of that money a little bit, and hopefully we'll get enough from the wood from those trees to be able to at least pay for this weeder. And the contract work might help even out some of the money that we've spent on getting the getting the other fields seeded and fertilized. So we've got another little dead patch just there, a little spot. And now we can just run straight up and down on this field here. Get this nice and fertilised. I've actually got quite a nice sort of entryway into this field, so might do hay on this field. We should have more than enough space to be able to get a tedder in here. At the very least, we can always just, you know, drive in and then unfold it. We do still need to figure out what sort of mowers we're going to go with, and I may just lease mowers rather than owning outright. I haven't quite decided yet. It depends as well how much mowing we've got to do. I mean, we've got this will be 3 fields. We've got that other grass field, I think field 26 as well, up by 25 in the top right corner. That's a really small field, I think. Actually, no, it's about the same size as this, I think. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, 26 actually looks to be quite a decent size. So maybe we might end up doing hay on that field as well. I want to get a couple of fields with hay and then a couple that are just grass, so that we have a nice mix of both. I would really like to get cows up and running on this map to get us a milk income coming in. But cows are going to be really tricky with seasons. We're only going to be able to fill the feed troughs for a maximum of 3 days at a time. So we're going to have to be sort of on it a lot more in terms of managing their food levels. Plus we're going to get varying degrees of income from them from their milk. We're going to have to make sure that we've got plenty of straw and hay and grass and silage already prepared, so that we can actually feed them during the winter months when we can't make any of those crops or any of those products, because the grass will just wither and die instantly, and our straw will rot and decompose, as will our hay if we just leave it out in the snow. So feeding them is going to be quite tricky. I'm assuming that the water isn't going to freeze over winter. But that could be an interesting dynamic if that were the case. How would you feed or how would you give any of your animals a drink if the water levels froze? Like I say, I don't think that actually does happen. I don't think the rivers freeze either, which is kind of a shame. I would quite like to maybe see you know, any rivers or streams freeze up a little bit and then just rely on water in water towers perhaps. But, there we go, that's that field done. So let's close the gate. Oops. We're in the wrong place. Oh, there we go. Right, which way shall we go first? Let's make our way over to fields 24, 25 and 26, because we can use our weeder on 26. We can take a quick look at how small 25 is, see if we need to do any prep work between the 2 fields, and then purchase 24 once we've done some contracting work on that field as well. So I don't normally tend to keep the driving in, I tend to kind of cut that out, but I'm going to let the driving run this time just as we make our way over there, because it's going to be kind of a new area for us, the first time we've gone over there on this series. Plus I do love driving through this village. It's so peaceful and picturesque through here. Let's make this turn just here. In your own time, fella. There we go, just slowly plodding across the zebra crossing there. And it's really quite picturesque out here. I think this is our animal dealership just here, if I remember rightly. Yes, there we go, there's the slaughterhouse. Nice little humpback bridge to go over here as we exit Villeneuve. We've got another one of these little paths that goes underneath the bridge here, which is really nice. We've got one of those at the entrance to the farm for our cows. And there's a lot of fields along here that I would love us to be able to expand into in the future. All kind of, long straight fields that should be relatively easy for us to sort of purchase in stages and then combine together. We have got this farmyard here that we'll be able to move into in the future as well. A nice sort of place with some good storage options for us. Nothing too big, nothing too extreme, and a little bit of space for us to actually place down some bits and bobs of our own as well. So we need to be the other side of these fields. And we're coming to the next village here, which is Coldstream. Welcome to Coldstream Village. We have our sell points here. And let's cut down this path. This here is our grass field that we own. And then here, I'll just get out and jump out for a second. This is our little crop field here. This is 25. You can see it's a really small field. But, if we get rid of this tree here, that's pretty much the only obstacle. It should link up really nicely with field 24 there. 24 we'll be doing a little bit of contract work on before we buy it, so we can help bring the price down and earn a little bit of cash at the same time. Oops, engine is off. Let's turn that back on. But we've got this field to weed before we do that. So once again, I'm going to sort of run around the edge. We shouldn't have, at least on this side, we shouldn't have any issues of you don't own this field, because we do very clearly own the field right next door. So we should be able to get around here quite nicely. And you know what? I may possibly, I'm going to weed this anyway, just so we apply that level of fertilizer. But looking at this, I may actually make this a crop field as well. I don't know. Don't know whether we're going to have enough feed in terms of grass and hay and so on and so forth if we get rid of this field as well. But it's a decent sized little field actually, and it's a quite nice shape, and it's away from the edges as well. It's not right up to the fence, so we don't have to sort of rip up the edge and then replant and reseed at least replow to clean away and make sure that we have some clearance for turning and working in here. We've already got that built in, so I think this actually might be a really good field for us to plow over. You can see as well, if we do that, I don't know whether we'll get an extra level of fertilization for ploughing the grass into the ground. I don't think we will, but at the very least we'll already have a stage of fertilizer applied from this weeding that we're doing. So even if we do convert this to a crop field, which is becoming more and more of a solid idea in my head, we're already putting that stage of fertilizer down, which means it'll be a little bit less work that we'll have to do in the future. So yeah, I think I'm going to turn this into a crop field. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to make this a crop field because it's a good little size, and I think this could work really, really well in our favour. So I'm going to carry on sort of weeding this field, and once it's done, we'll then head on over to field 24. The point is at the far end over there. We'll do a little bit of contract work on it, then we'll buy the field, and then we'll start bringing some equipment up here to work on these fields. Okay, there we go. We are done with our weeding. So we're going to head along this this quite nice little dirt road here. It's actually really smooth along here. It looks great as well. I love that sort of texture of the road surface that we have. We're going to head along here up to the end of the field. There's our purchase point just there. We need to park a little bit out of the way so that we've got room for the equipment to spawn. And here you can see we've got this great big grass field here, field 22. That would be a nice thing to add on as well, but again it's fenced in, so we can't go any further than that. But this is field 24. Now this is going to cost us 111. You can see I've done a job for this farmer already, and that was when we did the fertilising on field 6, I guess. So it looks as though that farmer owns both of these fields. Oh, that's fantastic. That means we can really bring the discount down on both sets of fields at the same time, rather than having to work for different farmers. That's really helpful. So we're not going to get paid a lot of money here. 1,500. That one's 1,382. Yeah, we'll go with 1,382, and we'll use the Series 7 because I do like the Deutz flowers. As you know, I am running a Deutz Farm theme at the moment on Deutz Farm. That's on Altenstein. We don't have to rush this either as well. Now that there's no time bonuses involved, we can actually just be nice and take our time on this. Right up to the edge without driving in, if I can. That's close enough. There's my turning area at the bottom of the field. We don't need the lights on, it's still bright enough in the day. But look at that river just running alongside there. Looks so peaceful and calm, isn't it? Calm waters. So quite a bit of work involved to get all of our fields kind of ready. Well, over here we've got a tree that we need to remove over here. That's quite easy and straightforward, but we've got a lot of ploughing that we're going to need to get done. We've also got another round of seeding that we'll be doing once we've bought the fields. We'll be leaving that till days 5 and 6 when the weather is warm enough. And also we've got all those trees that we need to remove between fields 2 and 6 over there as well. Seeing as this farmer owns both of these fields, we're actually going to do some... I thought they'd be owned by separate farmers. We'll actually do some work on field 6 before we purchase either of the fields as well, so that the prices will get a really, really good discount, seeing as our reputation with this farmer is going to improve across both fields at the same time. I had no idea that this farmer owned both of these fields, so that's a really, really helpful boost for us. It's going to save us quite a nice bit of cash. And as I said, we don't have a bottomless pit of money. We don't have an extra million or two knocking around. We've deliberately left the nuggets alone. I think I've accidentally picked up a nugget. But we don't have this huge cash reserve to call on. We have our starting equipment, and that's kind of it. And we're just going to have to make do and try and stay as little in debt as we possibly can. We're already $400,000 in debt, and I don't really 400,000 euros. I don't really want to add to that anymore, because I don't know how much my interest payments are going to be, but I do know that they are going to be getting quite expensive, and they're only going to get bigger if we add more debt to that. You can see that the skies are starting to darken now. I'm not sure if that's just the time of day, or whether we've actually got a bit of cloud coming in. To check as soon as we finish this field, which will be any second now. I get the feeling it might be some bad weather. It's a little bit early, I think. Even though it's still early spring, I think it's still a little bit early for it to start getting this dark. I might be wrong. Oh no, it's nearly 4 o'clock, so yeah, maybe it is the time of day. And we have got a little bit of cloud as well, you can see. We've got the cloud symbol showing, so a combination of both, I suppose. Right. We should be getting a plough job now, and ooh, 8-meter culti plough. Let's see if we can actually get. That's the laser from the Platinum expansion. So we're looking at 3,500 with a Titan. That's a little bit too cheap, but it is using one of those new track challengers from the Horse Pack. You know what, I'm going to go with this one. It saves us having to cultivate the soil as well, because this might. I think this is going to be our cornfield. So you can see we've got the spacers mounted on this one. This here, it's got slightly wider spaced tracks. This is part of the Horse expansion, the aggravation pack. And I haven't used the culti-plough for a while actually as well, so it's great that we actually finally are starting to see, not just obviously we've been seeing mods pop up in contract work for quite some time, but it's only been a little while really in the grand scheme of things that we've started seeing big bud equipment popping up in contract work. It's only been a month or two, considering that equipment came out in May. It took several months before we were able to actually start getting some of those pieces of equipment pop up. We still don't get, at least I still haven't seen a big bud tractor pop up as a vehicle option, but I have seen the seeders popping up now, like the big 24-meter seeders and the 18-meter seeders. The Hatsubishi Terminator and the Great Plains YP2425A. I've seen those pop up in contract jobs, and quite nice to be able to see those make their way over in this as well. With the vehicles, that would be quite nice. Maybe get a big bud available as a contract vehicle. Maybe we just haven't been on a field big enough yet. But it does give me hope that maybe if we were to take on a ploughing job on Big Bud Farm, that we might actually get the 10.5-meter plough. Because you don't want to do even a 30-hectare field. When we were doing field 1, doing one of those with a 6.2-meter plough just takes forever. So you can imagine how much an 80 or 104-hectare field, how long it's going to take on that. Right, so this is going to take me a little while to do. So once again, I'm going to kind of just jump forward a little bit, and I'll catch up with you again towards the end of this job. As I drive up and down this field, I kind of realise I maybe messed up just a little bit in terms of earning potential and cost reduction on this field as well. I could have made, this is a culti plough, so it's a subsoiler, so it's ploughing and cultivating at the same time. I could have made more money and got a bigger discount if I'd done a separate plough job and then a separate cultivating job afterwards. But never mind. Sometimes you see some equipment that you really want to use. It's just like, I'll take that job, and you don't necessarily immediately think through the consequences of that. So it's not the end of the world. It's only going to cost us, a little bit in terms of, lost revenue. Probably an extra 1,000 or so, maybe 2,000. So not much, but it is going to hurt in the sense that we had the opportunity to discount this field, an extra stage, an extra job, and that's what's going to hurt more, I think, because it's not just this field, it's field 6 as well. The farmer owns both fields, so it isn't just this field we've missed out on, it's the other one as well. So That's just something to be wary of in the future for the rest of you guys if you're going to do something similar. Um, if you want to really maximise how quickly you can discount a field, don't use equipment like this, or don't use a seeder that will fertilise as well. You know, if you want to do a seeding job, because you can actually get more money and a bigger discount in the long run if you actually split it into two separate jobs. You can get paid for seeding, and then you'll get your discount for that job, and then you can get paid for then going over and fertilising it, you know, as a separate job, and then get a discount at the end of that job as well. So yeah, I kind of messed up a little bit in that respect. I could have earned a little bit more cash, but more importantly I could have ended up with a bigger discount for two separate fields here. So never mind. We're almost done with this. We've only got, you know, a little piece of this patch left to do. We won't have to complete this whole line. But I do like this Challenger. It just looks really mean and aggressive as well with those front lights. And any second now. There we go. So that's 2,722. And hang on a sec. That's weird. It's just showing it as ploughed and not cultivated. That is very odd. Oh, it looks like we've managed to get away with it. We can actually cultivate this as well. So I haven't used one of these big TTs yet either. So I'm going to take this one. I honestly thought that we'd screwed up a little bit there. Maybe that's changed, because I know that, you know, it certainly was an issue with fertilising and seeding at the same time. Maybe it's just not the same for using a subsoiler. Maybe it only counts as ploughing and not the cultivating. That was quite an unusual surprise. I was not expecting. Oh, hello. Alright, I need to have a look at this. That's odd. Why is it? I've never used this before. It's a very strange setup. I'm just looking to see whether or not I need to do anything further with it. I'm not seeing anything. I guess that's how it's supposed to be operated. Very odd. This is obviously part of the Platinum expansion, this TT, or this double T cultivator here. I've never used it before. And I certainly didn't expect it to sort of scissor open like that. That is very strange. But, right. Let's get some cultivating done. I'm not sure how I feel about this cultivator. I mean, it's allowing us to whiz along at a good old speed, but it has got that very narrow working width, and it does require quite a lot of horsepower to pull it. So it is a little limited in some of its applications. I mean, this is obviously part of the Platinum pack. I think it's designed for cutting up sugarcane fields once they've gone through their 3 stages of harvesting, and you need to replant with new sugarcane. But it's a bit odd. Making good progress though on this field. As you can see, we're whizzing through. It's not taking us very long to get up and down the field at all at this speed. It's just kind of a shame that we don't have a slightly wider working width. But having said that, if we had a wider working width, then we wouldn't be getting paid as much cash as we are for this job. A little under 5 grand. Doesn't sound like a lot, and I suppose in the grand scheme of things, 5 grand isn't really all that much at all, but it does help recoup some of that money that we spent earlier on the weeder. And much more importantly, it is getting us that extra discount step that I honestly thought we kind of lost. Like I said, I really didn't think we would get the opportunity to cultivate having used the subsoiler on the previous mission, on the ploughing mission. So it's a bonus 5 grand we never expected, and it's a bonus discount that I didn't think I was going to be able to get as well. So more than happy to kind of just toil up and down here, and we've almost finished the field. You can see we've only got a tiny little bit left to do, both in terms of the field itself and the gauge in the top right corner. And as soon as we've done this, that'll be it for this field. We'll be whizzing back over to field 6, and we'll be working on that field as well. We're going to get the fields into the right state, then we're going to buy the fields, and then we probably will be out of time. Let's see, what day are we on? On day 3, I believe, still. So day 4, because we can't start planting up here till day 5. Day 4 will be where we cut down those trees and then plough the fields together, and we'll need to plough our own fields. So there we go. Oh, a little less than I thought, 4,003. I thought it was about 4,700 we were going to get. We're going to need to plough field 25 over there, and we're going to need to plough field 2 on our own equipment. But you can see now we're up to seeding, and we're almost halfway full on George Watson's appreciation rating there. So let's make our way over to field 2 so that we can pick up some contract work on field 6. Now we have already done one contract work on that off camera, and that was simply to put some slurry down on that field. I got paid £1,000 for it, and it only took a couple of minutes to do. But now we get to use this underpass. Look, that's kind of cool. So where's this going to bring us out? Can we cut through here? It doesn't look like there is a cut through, so I guess we're going to use that top road up by the forest. Definitely a lot darker now since those clouds came out. But look at all these fields up here that we could quite comfortably turn into one great big field. There's so little in the way. You know, we've got this dirt path that we... Oop, getting a bit offline there. This dirt path that we could easily cut up. And then, you know, just a few trees that would need removal. Not that many at all. All of those fields up there, 29, 30, 31, 32, 39, 33, 35, 36, 37, 38, 48, 40, they could all be combined by, well, not 48, 48 is a grass field, so you could say go 39 to 38 all the way across to that point there, and then you could do 40 and 41 in the top. You could even, if you wanted to, I suppose, come down and do 42 and 43, 47, I think that's another grass field that might be fenced. And then you've got 44, 45, 46 all the way down that side as well. 49 might be fenced. But there's plenty of scope. Oh, we could have turned back there, actually. What the hell? It's Back to the Future. We got flying cars. What? That was a bit weird. I want to see where they start flying. I'm going to stay here for a second, see if he takes off halfway down the hill. He's keeping flat. Maybe the next little bit. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's insane. I love it when you find just a random bug that just looked hilarious like that. I mean, it doesn't affect the gameplay in any way, shape or form, so it's not like it's going to cause major issues, but it's just so funny to see things like that. Car just bunny hopping up into the air and hovering all the way the rest of the way along. Oh dear. Alright, so this is going to bring us the wrong side of the fields. We need to be on the lower part, so we'll just follow the top road along. Is this village number 3? It is. Which one's this one? This one is... I can't read that. Bill's Hoyson, I think. Something like that. There's our field 2 there that we're going to need to plough. And let's see, how many trees are we going to have to cut down? If we're just going to get the ones in the middle and not the edge, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trees. Wow. That is a lot of lumberjacking. I don't think I want to submit you to 11 trees worth of lumberjacking, so I'll probably do that off camera and then come back for the ploughing and the combining. But that's an awful lot of trees. We can definitely get all that log, all those logs kind of piled together. They're quite close as well, which is useful. So we're not going to have too far to go if we were to bring some kind of trailer up and to load and put the logs into. But that is an awful lot of trees that we're going to have to delimb bit by bit. That's going to be a lot of work. But we'll get a nice, decent sized payout as a result of that. So that'll be kind of good. Right, let's have a look at this field here. So we've got a plough job there. That's 19 minutes. See if we can get a different piece of equipment. There's the Colty plough again. That's going to be awkward because we're going to have to tidy up a lot at the end. I'm going to use the Colty plough again. Oh, the Anaconda. That's quite a big piece of machinery. Yeah, and you can see it's George Watson again, so it's the same guy who owns the previous field. So this has come down to 78,000. This was, I think, in the region of 100,000 or close to, around 90,000. So we've knocked a good 10,000-12,000 off the price just already by doing some jobs for him. Wonder how much more we can get discounted. And I don't know if I've actually used this Challenger with the Anaconda paint scheme on it, or at least if I have, not for a very long time. I can see even this, with so much power, is still struggling. I mean, this needs 450 horsepower to pull it, but look how steep this hill is. It's a ridiculously steep hill. And even this mighty tractor is only going 4 miles an hour up here. That gives you an indication of just how steep this embankment is. Look at the off camber as well. That is quite excessive. I don't think one pass will be enough. I might have to go back down again, but we'll loop along the top first of all. Much more controlled, 7 miles an hour. Let's take a look in the cab inside this thing. I don't tend to use this tractor very often just because it is so damn big and expensive. But it looks quite sparse in here actually. Not a huge amount of levers and switches and equipment. What about up top? A little bit up there. It's not bad in here, but you know, it does feel a little bit empty, I suppose, in a way. Compact, I suppose, is another way you could describe the interior of this. Everything is kind of very tightly organised. And for a tractor this size, the cabin doesn't actually feel that big, at least in terms of the operating area. It just got these very wide side panels on either side of the seat, but oh, that's a vicious little bump just there as well, look. Look at that little lip just there. I have to be wary of that when we work this field. Yeah, this thing's a monster. That's not enough of a turning circle. I don't think. We might have some issues with trees. I'm going to keep working along the bottom and we'll see how it goes. I will be back with you in a little while. There we go. That's another 2,000 in the pot. We're back up to 161,000. But more importantly, we are bringing the cost of these fields down as well. Let's see. There's another new cultivator, the multi-cultivator 5-in-1. I'm going to try this one with the Series 9. Again, this is another one from the Platinum expansion that I haven't had the chance to use yet. I am curious as to exactly what's going to be involved in this, and I might need the weight. So I'm going to hook up to that. Normally I tend to leave the weights on the side of the field when I'm offered them on contract work, because more often than not, you just don't need them. But with this, I honestly don't know. So this looks to be a much more traditional rigid frame. This is one of those cultivators where you can seed at the same time. Obviously we do not want to do that. Very interesting design though, very long, isn't it? It almost reminds me a little bit of like a drag racing funny car with the stabilizing bars at the back. Gonna need to do at least 2 passes to get the width, so I don't crash into the trees at the end of every pass. This is quite narrow though. I think I probably should have gone with something a little bit wider. This could take me a little while to run up and down this field. It's not going to be a perfectly clean coverage as well, but I'm not too worried about that. Like I said, we're just trying to prep this field. And I've decided what order I'm going to plant things in as well. So earlier I thought that this would be my soybean area, but given that we're now converting field 26 into a crop field, and I'm going to have to plough that field as well, rather than then cultivate it again along with field 25 and then join into field 26. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to plant soybean up there, so it just doesn't take quite as long to get things done, so I can get the field ploughed and then go direct drill with our Horse Pronto, and then we'll bring the Maestro over to these fields here, 2 and 6. We will need to cultivate field 6, no, field 2, sorry. We'll need to cultivate that field once it's been ploughed. But then we'll get the Maestro on this and we'll turn this into a cornfield. So we've got a nice good sized cornfield up this end as well. And then the soybean will all go with those 3 fields down the end. Well, it'll be 2 fields, 24, 25 and then 26. They will be our soybean allocation. So once again, I've got a lot of cultivating that I need to get done. I'm not going to make you watch it all. So I will make a bit of progress and I'll catch up with you as we move further along the field. To help me work the way up the field, I've been working in sections like this, looping around, doing an underneath pass and then going to do an over the top pass. It gives me a nice good turning arc at the end of each run across the field. Allows me to sort of walk my way up the field quite nicely without having any turns that are too sharp or too steep. Been steady progress. We've still got plenty of time left to finish this mission off. And you can see that, you know, again, the horsepower struggles, they are real on this hill. Very, very steep, very, very hilly. Look at that angle, that's just insane. So once this is done, I think this is the final job before we start purchasing fields. So I'm hoping we've done enough to bring the prices down where we can buy both of them. I really hope that's the case. I'm not 100% certain, I have to admit, whether we're going to have enough to be able to buy them both. May possibly have to dip into our bank loan just a little bit more. Really rather avoid doing that if I can. And while I would like to have a T6 on the farm, extra land is more important, I think. We can get by with the T5 and the T7 without any major issues. Whoa! Shouldn't have lifted the cultivator. Sudden burst of speed. Thing just snapped out of control there. Yeah, well, we can make do with the T5 and a T7. You know, a T6 would have been nice, but it's not essential. You know, it just means we're going to end up probably putting a few more hours on the T7 than intended. A few more hours than would, you know, ideally be the case. Let's just close this block out now. And again, you can just see just what a steep angle this is, not just in terms of from up, you know, up and down, but left and right as well. It's just a really steep angle all the way. And having used this cultivator, I have to say I'm not a fan of it. I mean, as a cultivator on its own, it's not great. It's cumbersome, it's very long, which makes it awkward for turns. It's not got a particularly wide working width, but it does have that grain tank on the top, so if you use it as something that would cultivate and then plough, cultivate and seed at the same time, then I could see it maybe being a bit more useful, but as a straight cultivator, I really don't like this. I won't be using one of these again, I don't think. And we should have a strip at the bottom that we can work as well. You see, it's been very difficult to try and stay in a straight line. It's got such a narrow field of yeah, some pieces of equipment have a good overlap, so they'll actually stick out a little bit further than the width of their piece of equipment, but this one is very restricted. There we go, it's an extra 3,267. And that's it. So this field is now available for 75,000, so let's buy this field. We've got 89,000 left. Let's hope that's enough to be able to buy field 24. Let's make our way back over there. We got our beacons on. No. There we go. Cut our way through Villeneuve again. You see some of the street lights are starting to come on now. The clouds are lifting as well, but it's now getting into that time of night where it is going to start getting dark quite quickly. So it's only really brightening up very, very briefly. Just really hope we have got enough cash left over now. That's the big thing now, is whether we can actually afford to buy that field. If we can't, then I will dip into the bank just a touch more. But I'd rather avoid that if we can. More fields available to purchase. There is a lot of land over here that could be put to good use in the coming years on this farm. This is probably going to be one of my longest running Let's Plays. As we come back into Coldstream here. I can see this farm running for multiple years, at least multiple years of seasons. But I think I could run this farm for most of 2018. Because we'll always be adding new equipment and new fields. We'll always be able to change things up and work in different areas on the map. We'll always be able to do something a little bit different. And with seasons, that's going to make it, a real challenge when we start expanding the farm up as well. We'll have to start running, 9 and 12 day seasons, and then eventually all the way up to 24, I think, potentially. Can we afford it? No, we're just short. We're 10,000 and change short, so we're going to need to take another 15 out the bank. That's frustrating. There we go. So it's a 415,000. That's expensive. But we'll be able to earn some of that back with the trees. So there we go. We have bought the field. So we have one tree here that needs to be cut down. We have, 9, 10, 11 trees over by fields 2 and 6. So that's a lot of lumber that we've got, coming our way. We could even potentially chip a couple of those trees. I might chip this one. That does mean hauling the wood chip all the way up here just for one tree. Yeah, I might do, just so we can stick a few extra chips in there. But that's it for the end of this episode. We're going to make our way back to the farmhouse, get everything kind of cleaned up and put away, and then, oh, that was a point. Let's check the forecast. Let's see, tomorrow is day 3. Oh, we're only still on day 2, aren't we? So tomorrow's day 3. We should have really good weather. We're looking at 15 degrees and a 4 degree ground temperature. So the ground temperature is going to drop just a touch, but it shouldn't be too bad. We're not going to be doing any planting until until Friday. Friday is the day when we'll start our seed window will open up for soybean and for corn. So we'll do all of our planting on Friday. We're going to have bad weather, but at least it'll be warm enough. So, right, I'm going to loop my way through these fields and get back to the main road and back to the farm. Thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and I'll see you with some more Seasons in the Valley very soon.